Welcome back. This is Marc Rudov, branding advisor to CEOs and author of 3 books on branding for CEOs. You can get my books at marcrudov.com/books. You can watch all my videos at marcrudov.tv. And before I forget, go to WokeCEOnews.com. There's a plethora of information there for you to study, going back several years now, on all of the woke blunders that CEOs have made and continue to make. And I will try to keep it as up-to-date as possible. Please share it with your friends. And of course, enjoy my website. You can also contact me there to hire me. Today's topic, Biden's equivocating, specifically on Hamas, but on a multitude of issues, hurts Israel. Biden's equivocating hurts Israel. You might recall that a month or so ago, I showed that Biden is playing both fireman and arsonist and fireman. Joe Biden caused the war in Israel by allowing Iran to enrich itself through oil revenues, mostly to China, hundreds of billions of dollars. You might recall that when Obama, the puppeteer of Joe Biden, one of them, the other one is Xi Jinping, he unfroze $100 billion in Iranian assets and also delivered $1.7 billion in cash and gold bars. That really got the ball rolling for Iran to become the massive state of terrorism that it is today. And because Iran now enjoys lots of oil revenues from China because Joe Biden is turning his head the other way and allowing Iran to pump a lot of oil and send it to China. We have sanctions in place, but Joe Biden's ignoring those. He's kind of a hypocrite when he stands there on one hand and says, we're solidly behind Israel. Israel has a right to exist and to defend itself. And on the other hand, calling for a two-state solution, which of course is the death penalty to Israel. In a previous couple of videos, I showed you that it's really a two-stage final solution, not a two-state solution. You cannot live next door to a neighbor who wants to annihilate you. Recently, Joe Biden said to the world on TV that he doesn't trust Hamas to do the right thing. Go.
Mr. President, do you trust Hamas to uphold their end of the deal?
I don't trust Hamas to do anything right. I only trust Hamas to respond to pressure.
Okay. Good statement, Joe. It's accurate. But he also said that Hamas does not represent the majority of Palestinians. That is untrue.
We also have to remember that Hamas does not represent, let me say it again, Hamas does not represent the vast majority of the Palestinian people on the Gaza Strip or anywhere else. Hamas is hiding behind Palestinian civilians, and it's despicable and, not surprisingly, cowardly as well.
A couple of videos ago, I showed you a slide. Here it is. A recent survey showed that 75% of so-called Palestinians, those who live on the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, and those who live in Gaza, 75% of them support Hamas's massacre of Israelis and others on October 7th. So for Joe Biden to say that Hamas does not represent the majority of Palestinians, that is untrue. That's what you call equivocating. Equivocating, mixed messaging. When you have mixed messaging, your message fails. One of the chief rules of branding is if you are inconsistent in your messaging, it will fail. And Joe's message is failing. And that's why he is so unpopular. On October 25th, Joe Biden said that he doesn't trust Hamas's numbers when it reports the number of deaths caused by the Israelis. Doesn't trust those numbers. Go.
If I may very quickly, in the 18 days since Hamas killed 1,400 Israelis, the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry says Israeli forces have killed over 6,000 Palestinians, including 2,700 children. You've previously asked Netanyahu to minimize civilian casualties. Do these numbers say to you that he is ignoring that message?
What they say to me is I have no notion that the Palestinians are telling the truth about how many people are killed. I'm sure innocents have been killed, and it's the price of waging a war. I think we should be incredibly careful. I think not we, the Israelis should be incredibly careful to be sure that they're focusing on going after the folks that are propagating this war against Israel. And it's against their interest when that doesn't happen. But I have no confidence in the number that the Palestinians are using.
That was also a true statement because Hamas's numbers are false. First of all, Hamas lies about everything. Second of all, what it likes to do is mix the number of civilians and militants, I should call them killers. Hamas mixes them together and reports those to the world. And it makes it look like Israel is killing all of these civilians. That's a lie. You might remember on October 17th, news went around the world that Israel had bombed the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza City. 500 dead. Remember that? Well, that was false. That came from the Islamic Jihad, bombing its own people. And the bomb didn't go into the hospital, it went into the parking lot. But not before the world was set on fire with this lie. Well, it turns out that Jeremy Bowen, who works for the lying BBC, was one of the first to report that propaganda. Well, just today or yesterday, he's admitting, well, I got it wrong. It was a mistake. I have no regrets, and I don't feel particularly bad about it. The consequences of Jeremy Bowen being one of the lead media types to report this false information is that there were riots worldwide. People out for vengeance against Israel and against the Jews. He helped to catalyze this. It was a disaster. But he doesn't feel particularly bad about it, which means he relishes the idea of Jews being hurt, being injured, Israel being destroyed. That's the kind of Jew hatred that we see. And Joe Biden is not helping at all by changing his messaging. The day after he said he doesn't trust Hamas's numbers, he met with a bunch of Muslim Americans, leaders in the Muslim American community. And what did he say? I'm sorry. I'm disappointed in myself. I shouldn't have been so excessively skeptical about Hamas's numbers. You can't make this up, folks. So this is what I mean by inconsistent messaging. What he did was he nullified his original statements. So now it looks like the Hamas organization, the killer terrorist organization, which Biden said doesn't do anything right except respond to force. Well, maybe I'll walk that back a little bit. This is a disaster. Let me translate that into your business. And I know it's a long stretch because we're talking about war and terror, and now we're talking about business and commerce. But the same principle applies. If your messaging is inconsistent, then throw it out because it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. You just nullify message A, message B, the opposites, they cancel each other out. That's today's lesson. I'm Marc Rudov at marcrudov.com. Until next time.